Okay, this is Nicky and I'm going to talk through myself and Georgie's project for Distributed Games Programming. We worked on top of our last game, um, which was the four Shurikens, and they had to collect the goals, and whoever reached the win state of getting 10 of the goals first, they won the game. Um, so the game uses a TCP protocol, which is a connection-based protocol, and means that each packet has to send before it allows the sending of another packet. Um, so I'm also going to tell that we wrote a good bit of code about sending packets and stuff, especially for the pickups to have them synchronized. So if we go in here into multiplayer game state, we can see down in the the spawn pickup server case, we can see here that a packet comes in and it's got the type of an int32 type, that's the type of the pickup, and an x and a y coordinate. So this comes through and it's a very small packet, only three small simple ints, and this reduces the amount of data being sent over the server. It also means that there's not like textures and loads of other things like animation code being sent over it. It's just going to be the pickup location and also what type of pickup it is. This keeps it nice and simple, and a small amount of data is sent over the network. So we achieve synchronization in this way by sending the data over the network, and it was pinged in the multiplayer game state. So as we can see here in the game server, I handle incoming packets. So this receives the packet and then tells it exactly where to what client command to use, what client case, sorry, to use. So we have here like a position update, and then we have the game events, which are our pickup locations. So we have action 1 here, action 0, sorry, is a bomb, action 1 is a shield, and action 2 is a goal. So it's literally 0, 1, or 2 being sent over the network along with a position. And this makes it a very small amount of data being sent over, and it also means that each person who is connected to the game has a synchronized game. For game persistence, we didn't really include this because we thought that when it's four players playing against each other, there's not really a high score. We're trying to reach the high score, which is 10 every time. So it's not possible to have a high score because every score at the end of every game is 10. This means that if there was a high scoreboard, it would literally mean each and every high score would be 10, which would be ridiculous. We haven't really changed much of the gameplay for the multiplayer environment. We started off in CA1 developing the game as a multiplayer game. So this meant that we didn't have to really change the gameplay in it. We always knew it was going to be a multiplayer game. It just, we had to change the way the different players were controlled. Instead of all the shurikens being controlled on one machine, they were controlled on 4 different machines. Okay, so I created half the code in this. I mainly worked on getting the pickups working, getting the game world set out and in the right location, and I worked also on tidying up the code in a lot of cases. Georgie, when he was doing the handling collisions code and stuff. There was a lot of bloat code, as was mentioned the previous CA feedback. So what I did, I tidied all of that up. So as we can see here on line 184, should be around here, we can see this code right here. Sorry, there was 4 copies of this code originally, and I took that out and gave it a generic name in order to reduce the amount of code that was in it. I also reduced the amount of movement code as well in it, to tidy it up and make it easier to read and to get rid of all the bloat code. And as I said before, I also did the add pickups methods. So as we can see here, this is the networked version. So it notifies a game action to add bomb, and then that notify game action goes into the network node. Network node, which is over here, network node.cpp, and then that pending action is pushed, and we find game action, the type, and the position, and that's sent back to the world state, which is where it's added in add pickup. And this code here was from the previous one. It creates a random locations for each of the pickups, and I also included the goal in the random pickups area because it was moving outside the screen as well. So I changed a bit of code there, so I'm just going to demo 2 instances of the game. Okay, so we have 2 different cases. We have the host over on this side and the join over on this side. So we're going to get started, and get started here. So whichever one you're focusing on, that's the one you can control. So over here we're going to start a host state, and over here we're going to start a join state. So if you look here, when the 2 pickups are spawned, we have the 3 pickups in this location here, and the 3 pickups in the exact same location here. And you can move around by the arrow keys here. As you can see, I picked up a shield there, and I can also pick up the bomb, and that changes the color of the shuriken. Right, so now I'm going to focus over on the other player and get a value of 2. The pickup spawned again in the same place, which is an unlikely occurrence. So now I have the shield, and when I hit into the bomb, the shield and the bomb are destroyed. But now I have more points than the join player, so if I hit into him again, he gets destroyed. And now I can pick up the bomb again, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to run over here, and just for fun I'm going to hit him again. And now I am going to get the goal, and look, we'll move over here and give this poor guy a shield, because he is suffering hard. So if you have the shield on and the other player doesn't, if you hit into him, it doesn't hurt your life, but you lose your shield when he has more points than you anyway. So if we move back over here, this guy has the bomb again, and he's clearly winning there, so we're just going to move around with this guy and show you the win state. So I'm just going to move this guy out of the way so I can make it easy on myself so I don't run into him or something. Just be careful to avoid the walls, because if you do hit the walls you will be destroyed. So I'm actually just going to show you over that here so I don't have to destroy him. So he gets destroyed even with the shield on, and he keeps the shield though, however, when he hits into the wall. So I'm picking up everything with this guy. He's on 7 points so far. So we go over here, and there's a 5-second delay between the pickups being shown. So that just means that there's a bit of space in between the pickups. Generally, when there's 4 players in here, they are picked up very quick. So that's it there, and that's our game demo there, and I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, that's it.
Hello, this is Georgie, and I will briefly discuss our project. Uh, Throughout the project, we had a set number of goals, and I think that by the end of it, we managed to achieve all of the things that we wanted. A couple of things to say beforehand. Due to the way that we approached this project, not one person really focused on single things, and not one person created methods completely by themselves. As in, if I were to create a method and it wouldn't be working, then Nicky would be fixing it, or the other way around. And throughout the first iteration with CA1 and through CA2, we both had situations where we would be fixing the code for the other person, meaning that there isn't much code that we did purely by ourselves as opposed to as a pair. The only code that I could think of that would suit that would be the sound code, as the sound code was completely implemented by myself, and all the sound assets were also found by me. Okay, and now I will show the game. So, this is player 1. This player will be the host. The movement for this game can be both in controller mode, which is the optimal way, as it allows for, as you can see, analog movement in all possible directions, and also with keyboard movement, which isn't as smooth and is a bit bulkier, or not accurate. So the game premise is still the same as previously. You try to increase your score, try to go as high as you can, and every time you play 3 pickup spawn, and they all have different actions, with the star increasing your score, the bomb allowing you to blow up other players, and the shield allowing you to protect yourself. So I will now try to reach the win state to show some of the sounds that I got. Finally, whenever you win, as you could see, we went into a game over state, which had the player of the color that won and the number of the players. So player 1 won that match, and he is a cyan, light blue color. So the win state pointed out, if another player were to win, then he would be then the win state would be with their number and their color. So now we will try multiplayer. So we will host the game and set up player 2. And this will be player 2. So now we will join the game. As you can see, we now have 2 players. Okay. And using the controller, I'm able to control this, and if I were to switch to player 1, I would be able to do that as well. Same goes for using keyboard on each. However, since the spawns have already been created before the player loaded in, you'll have to wait till the new spawns appear. So as you can see, the spawns are synchronized, and now player 2 is able to pick up the spawns. Okay, so now as player 1 is okay, and now I will talk about the process As I said previously, neither of us really focused or did anything by themselves. However, we have included some custom things since the last game, which includes sound, multiplayer, and also certain things that we couldn't do last time, like changing the game over state. This was one of my things that if depending on who won, the game over text would be a different color, as well as printing out which player won this round. Okay, and that should be it. Thank you.